I'd like to call this a meeting of council to order. It's now Monday, May 15th at 2 p.m. And we'll start by having a reading of the land acknowledgement, and Deputy Mayor Fryer will do that.
Thank you, Mayor Hamlin. For more than 15,000 years, the First Nation walked upon and cared for the lands we now call home. Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and Ojibwa, and many others who were families, friends, and communities the way we are today. The town of Collingwood acknowledges the Lake Simcoe Nottawasaga Treaty of 1818 and the relationship it establishes with the original inhabitants of Turtle Island. We acknowledge the reality of our shared history and the current contributions of Indigenous people within our community. We seek to continue empowering expressions of pride amongst all of the diverse stakeholders in this area. We seek to do better and to continue to recognize, learn, and grow in friendship and community, nation to nation.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda. There's one item that will be added under motions, notices of motions, and that is relating to our council supporting Councillor Doherty as the FCM Women in Local Leadership Representative and gone in June. So with that, if I could have a motion to adopt the agenda as amended. Councillor Baines, seconded by Councillor Jeffrey, and all those in favor. And that's unanimous. Thank you. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest today? Seeing none, if you find yourself in that position, please let me know. We now need a motion to adopt the following minutes and that they be approved as presented. There's two. Firstly, the regular council meeting of May 1, 2023. And secondly, the special council meetings of May 4 and May 8, 2023. Could I have a motion and a seconder? That would be Councillor Houston and Councillor Perry. All those in favor? Thank you. Is there any business arising from the previous minutes? Seeing none, we're starting with community announcements, and we'll start with our Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Hamlin. I wanted to start off with, in addition to the first session of public input on the shipyard's public realm plan going on right now at the Leisure Time Club, there are two more opportunities tomorrow. First at 2 to 4 p.m. and then 6 to 8 p.m. at the Simcoe Theatre. This will help finalize the update to the 2016 Waterfront Master Plan that will then be set into the official plan, forming the stringent guidelines for any future development. So if anyone's interested, they could attend those sessions tomorrow. I do have comments about the build-up Simcoe County Municipalities meeting that we attended last Thursday, but I'm going to save those for the county report. I'll mention that with all of our local gardeners getting into the swing of things, probably next week, I wanted to mention that the rest of this week, the popular compost sale at all of the Simcoe County waste management sites is active, and mulch can also be picked up as long as it's available. So you just check out things at the Collingwood site or on the web for more details. And then one final note is a reminder to register at hospicegeorgiantriangle.com for the upcoming May 28th Hike and Bike for Hospice fundraiser. Not only will you be supporting compassionate hospice palliative care in our community, but the day is a fun individuals and family event with music and prizes. And all of that is at the Collingwood Curling Club. And those are what I have for today.
Thank you. Councillor Jeffrey.
Thank you very much, Mayor Hamlin. Firstly, just want to say go Blues go. They have their third game of the round robin tomorrow. You can live stream the games on Hockey TV. It's easy to do because I did it Saturday. So they're doing really well, and the Collingwood name is being held so proudly out there, and in their usual fashion, the Blues organization are contributing to the community. Did contribute $700 to the food bank out there, among other things they're doing there. So really proud of them. And the Optimist Club of Collingwood, Councillor Baines gave me permission On June 24th, it's the Kids Fishing Derby, and it includes many events at 8 a.m., an annual celebrity pancake breakfast, and 10 a.m., a family bike parade, and at 2 p.m., the 12th annual rubber duck race. So not to be missed. It's a great event for the town. Did have the pleasure of attending the Sports Hall of Fame dinner, which I know someone else will report on, and I want to congratulate staff on their very engaging presentation at the county conference on the STAs. So that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Doherty.
I apologize. I have two announcements today. The first is that our affordable housing task force is soliciting for comments, suggestions, opinions, or the opportunity to share stories about affordable housing and living in Collingwood. This is to inform our affordable housing master plan. You can access the portal through the Engage Collingwood page. Also, there will be an in-person public consultation in June, and I will be sure to announce that date for you. Secondly, and this is to all members of council and staff, that the Association of Municipalities of Ontario is requesting registrations for ministerial delegations during the conference August 20th to 23rd. So we may want to put our heads together on that. The closing for registration is June 9th. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. June 9th is coming soon. Thank you for mentioning that. Councillor Houston.
Thank you, Mayor. Just one announcement. The Collingwood Downtown BIA, in preparation for the Collingwood Art Crawl taking place this September, has applications open right now for musicians, artists, and venues that would like to take part. That application is open until June 15th. They're looking forward to receiving as many applicants as possible. And that can be found on collingwoodartcrawl.com.
Thank you. Councillor Potts.
Thanks, Mayor Hamlin. I had the pleasure on Saturday evening to attend the Sports Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Thanks to all the members of council for the strong representation. Congratulations again to the inductees, Harvey Perrin, Raven Sheffield, and the 2017-18 Pee Wee team, Blackhawks, for the Wall of Fame. Chair of the committee, Mark Rich, and his team, what a wonderful job. It was a great dinner. They had about 125 tickets sold, and it was just a great evening. To hear the stories from Terry Gregson, it was a eventful night and very knowledgeable, and certainly look forward to many more to come. And that's everything tonight.
Great, thank you. Councillor Ring.
Thank you, Mayor Hanlon. Tuesday, May 9th, along with other members of council, I had the pleasure of attending the Collingwood Youth Centre's open house and marketplace. This open house was a chance to see the youth centre in action and learn more about the programs and their services. In addition to the open house, the centre hosted a youth marketplace where local youth sold custom designed T-shirts, stickers, and posters. This was an opportunity to support these young people. Free food was provided and cupcakes were being sold for donations, with all the proceeds going to the Georgian Triangle Humane Society. And they did a super job. We should be proud of the youth of our town. I was also going to mention that I was at the Hall of Fame thing, but I won't because it's already been mentioned. But I'll just add piggyback on what Councillor Doherty mentioned about the affordable housing, and I'll apologize for continuing on because I was going to do the same and wait till closer to the date. But our next announcements, public announcements, aren't till June 5th, and the date that we want to give is June 6th. So I thought I'd give the date today, if you don't mind. Tuesday, June 6th, from 6 to 8 p.m., the Town of Collingwood, in collaboration with the Affordable Housing Task Force, will host a virtual information center regarding the development of Affordable Housing Master Plan. The master plan will give the town's prioritized, costed, and actionable direction to plan its role in addressing the affordable housing crisis. The community is invited to learn about the current housing needs and affordability challenges with an overview of the housing needs assessment, which will be released later this month. Participants will also learn about the next steps in the master plan process and will have an opportunity to ask questions and share their thoughts so that we can work together in solutions to prioritize affordable housing in Collingwood. You can register for this session at engage.collingwood.ca/affordable-housing. And I'm just, for clarification, about 4 weeks ago, I made an announcement about the winning the Stanley Cup. And I just want to clarify that I really meant next year. That's my announcements.
Well, thank you for that clarification. We'll be waiting not with bated breath. Oh, Councillor Baines.
Thank you, Mayor Hamlin. Collingwood's a wonderful town and very supportive and inclusive, and that includes all the service clubs. And in that regard, it gives me great pleasure to announce the Taste of the Town put on and hosted by the Rotary Club of Collingwood in South Georgian Bay, presenting Collingwood's premier culinary event on Sunday, June the 11th from 1 to 4 p.m. at the Alpine Ski Club. Tickets are $125, and it's going to be a banner event. So if you have a taste for fine foods, this is the place to be. So congratulations to the Rotary Club in hosting this, and wish them all the best support that they can get. And just if I can follow up on Councillor Jeffrey's excellent point about the Fish Derby and the other events that the Optimist Club is doing, you can meet a councillor this coming Saturday, May the 20th at the Farmers Market in the stance of myself, selling rubber ducky tickets, $2 each, or 3 for $5, a much better deal. And if you buy the 3 for $5, you will get a small miniature rubber ducky, which the kids really love. It's a deal that's not to be missed. Thank you.
Well, you must be also reminding us that our farmers market's opening this coming weekend.
Better, yes.
Yeah, thank you. Councillor Perry.
Well, thank you, Mayor Hamlin, and thank you for keeping it brief, Councillor Baines, because I've got a few more announcements. At their most recent meeting on May 11th, the Trails and Active Transportation Advisory Committee celebrated the contributions of 3 of their longest-serving volunteers, Lindsay Lyle, Jim Kopf, and Bob Miller. All 3 are former members of the committee who, when their terms concluded, continue to work in a major capacity to help with the activities of the team. Lindsay, a former committee chair and the creator of the Features on the Trails interpretive sign program, continues to manage the installation, maintenance, and data collection of the trails counters that are in place throughout the network. Jim has continued in his role as a leader of the map distribution team and are responsible to keep the 100-plus map box locations in our town and neighboring municipalities stocked with trail maps throughout the year. And Bob continues to manage the group of roughly 35 trail captains who patrol designated sections of the trails network to keep them free of debris and report any major maintenance requirements to the parks and rec staff for a resolution. All 3 have also been regular members of the Boardwalk building team out in Cranberry Marsh. Congratulations and many thanks to these committed volunteers who continue to make a difference for our trails network and our town. And now, a couple library announcements. The Magic of Children in the Arts exhibit is currently on display throughout the library. This is a phenomenal show filled with over 1,000 pieces of artwork by local children. We encourage everyone to visit and witness the amazing talent of our young community. Magic of Children is on display until Friday, June 16th. As part of the Simcoe Author Talk series, Jennifer Robson will be presenting on her book, Coronation Year. Jennifer is the international best-selling author of The Gown, and she returns with another enthralling historical novel that follows the lives of 3 individuals that comes to a climax on the day of Queen Elizabeth's coronation. And finally, some very exciting news. Today, the library took delivery of the book bike that will be making appearances at different town events as well as the waterfront this summer. If you take a moment to look at the display, no, it's not an ice cream truck or bike, but it very much looks like it. If you take a moment to look at the display, CEO Kilchicki has been kind enough to provide a picture to share with council and residents. I can tell you that firsthand, the library is very excited about this new venture, and I'm sure there'll be some friendly debates among staff who will be taking it out first. That's all for this week. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Jeffrey?
Thank you. Just to add to Councillor Perry's point too, the bike was made possible by the fundraising of Friends of the Library, and I think they very much deserve credit for their contribution to the library.
Okay, yes, thank you for mentioning that.
Thank you, Councillor Jeffrey. I know CEO Kilchicki is going to touch on that later on in her presentation.
Thank you. I have a couple of announcements. One, just to note that May the 19th is the Personal Support Workers Day that was first declared by the Ontario government in 2010. Don't need to tell you what an essential backbone of our healthcare system the PSWs are, and so we'll all be thinking and celebrating them on May the 19th. As you all know also, our Collingwood Blues are the Ontario champions of the Ontario Junior Hockey League. And so we're going to be celebrating with a community parade. It's going to be on Saturday, May 27th at 11 a.m. It's going to start at the Eddie Bush Arena, which of course is just behind Town Hall. And the parade will travel down to Hume Street and then back up on here Ontario Street. So that was Saturday, May the 27th at 11 a.m. Don't forget to wear your Blues colors in case you need to know, blue, white, and gold. Also, as everyone knows, the Blues are now out in Portage-la-Prairie vying for the Canadian Championship, and they've won their first 2 games out there. I, as you know, made a challenge to the mayor of Portage-la-Prairie, Sherilyn Knox, challenging her that if the Blues were successful in this national championship, she would have to fly the Collingwood flag in her town. And in the unlikely event, because she did accept the challenge on this condition, in the unlikely event the Collingwood Blues do not win the Canadian Championship, Collingwood will have to fly the flag of Portage-la-Prairie. So we'll just stay tuned on that front. And also I should say I had a text from Terry Geddes over the weekend because he is as convinced as I am where this is heading. He's taking the Collingwood flag with him. Yes, this week when he goes out to Portage-la-Prairie. Okay, so get ready. And lastly, I'll just mention Collingwood last week hosted the YPO, or the Young Presidents Organization. There was a local committee, or chapter I should call it, that wanted to do an in-depth dive into Collingwood and what we're all about. And they spent, their chapter's 12 members, they spent 3 days here learning about our past, present, and future. I was invited and spoke about the future. Melissa Shaw from our museum went and spoke about our past. Dean Culver was there and entertained him with, I think, the present, and they did lots of other people come in. All on their own, they managed to find Councillor Houston, and he hosted a lunch there and an afternoon tour and introduced them to a couple of our very successful companies that started small and have grown big, and also had a member of the Georgian Bay Angels network there. So we had a very grateful thank you email for all the effort that staff put into this, and thanks all around. So I just wanted to mention that. Okay, so that's for community announcements. I don't have any deputations. Have any arisen, Claire Thomas? No. So next we're on to our regular recurring updates. The first one is on water capacity and the land use planning study. CEO Skinner.
Thank you, Your Worship. We actually have quite an exciting update today, and I am not going to use a deck just because we've been through it a number of times. I thought it might be more efficient to skip to the exciting part. We do have 2 outstanding appeals today with respect to the zoning bylaw amendment that relates to our ICBL, but the news is actually quite good related to both. So the OLT, Ontario Land Tribunal, has acknowledged the withdrawal of the Crest Point Blue Mountain Centre appeal, which has now been resolved through in a voluntary way. The appellant voluntarily withdrew their appeal. And I am happy to say that our updated SCAP policy, Services Capacity Allocation Policy, that was approved by Council several months ago, does enable a smoother transition among tenants at a business site. So I think that some of their concerns have been relieved by the newest approach. The second outstanding appeal being Sunvale Homes, has gone to council in camera, and the minutes of settlement outline the steps to withdrawal, including the consideration of approval of the impending site plan control application, which is tracking to come to this table on June 5th at the council meeting. And staff anticipate that the final appeal will be formally withdrawn before the OLT hearing date that is scheduled for later this summer. So when these two appeals are resolved, I believe the next step in the process will be an OLT order, which will remove our interim control bylaw and thus the need to continue with exemptions to it. And our town would then fully operate as intended under our services capacity allocation policy, or SCAP, which will continue to allocate servicing in accordance with our town's values. So folks who are looking to build will apply for larger developments, and some of the smaller developments can go forward under buckets of allocation that have been set up for that purpose. And on a related note, the water treatment plant expansion continues to be a complex project. Council recently received an update in camera in preparation for the next steps. Preparations to tender this major expansion project are on track for June, to have the documentation ready in June. And advance work continues, including the successful installation of pre-work at the existing plant site over the last few days. I believe this includes work like major diversion valves to enable the rerouting of water as the construction continues and the various phases take place. It does, on a final note, remain important for our residents and businesses to use their exemptions and building permits if they do have an allocation of water, as the allocation of servicing will eventually expire, not immediately. We're talking a year plus as opposed to tomorrow. But we do want to ensure that those who have servicing allocations use it if they wish to, because it will eventually go back into the pot to make sure that people who do want to move forward in a reasonably timely fashion can use the servicing that we have.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. The next update, also from CEO Skinner, is on the Poplar Health and Wellness Village.
Thank you, Your Worship. So we did last meet with the large negotiation group on April 18th. There were some items identified for the DEPUTATIONS and Live, Work, Learn, Play team to take away, a few of the items that they needed to talk about internally. And the town also drafted updates to the base agreement that were actually agreed live in that meeting. So at this time, the legal teams are scheduled to meet through this week with a target to circulate draft language to the full group by the end of the week. That is to be confirmed, that they do need to actually have the meeting and confirm that the material is ready to circulate. I am really looking forward to getting the entire agreement and its schedules back to council in camera, and seeing this DEPUTATIONS Live, Work, Learn, Play project, which is an exciting health and wellness village, move forward. If I could add one item
Yes,
related
please
to the council's updates. There were some kind words said about the exciting things happening at the youth center. And I think I just wanted to mention that council does fund every year the youth center. I believe that the funding this year was about $25,000 to help youth have good places to go in the community. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The next item is from the Committee of the Whole meeting of May 1, 2023. And the motion before us is as follows. The Council received the Committee of Whole report from its meeting held May 1, 2023, and hereby approve the recommendations contained within the report as presented. And there are three. The first one, C2023-14 CBSP Goal, Youth Engagement in Governance, Next Steps, and the recommendation was to proceed with youth engagement options outlined in the report and to contact clerk services if any members of council are interested in assisting. The next one was CCS 2023-02, Social Media Policy. Recommendation was to receive and adopt the report as presented. The third one was P2023-13, Proposed Zoning Bylaw Amendment for 55 Mountain Road. This is the Canadian Tire expansion. The recommendation was to receive the report and amend zoning bylaw And the bylaw provision as follows: that bylaw number 2023-051, being a bylaw under the provisions of Section 34 of the Planning Act, RSO 1990, Chapter P13 is amended for prohibiting the use of land for or except for such purposes as may be set out in the bylaw specific to 55 Mountain Road, Collingwood, be enacted and passed this 15th day of May, 2023. And I left one thing out. The fourth thing is Accessibility Advisory Committee minutes. And this was the request for update on the transit item. So could I have a mover and a seconder for all of those, please? Councillor Perry, and seconded by Councillor Potts. Thank you. Is there any discussion? Councillor Jeffrey.
Thank you, Mayor Hamlin. I was just wondering about the wisdom of pulling the social media policy, given the amount of amendments that were made based on our comments previously, but maybe have a member of staff speak to that for public edification.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Who would like to speak to this? Okay, there you are up there. Sorry, I didn't see you. Manager Carter, would you like to go ahead? Thank you.
Hi there. Thank you, Your Worship. Can you hear me okay? Thank you. Sorry, I'm not there in person. I have a sick child at home, so working from home. Yes, we did make a number of changes. You'll see in the agenda package, I left in tracked changes so you could see exactly what they were. But following some comments that were made at council last week and as well from the public, and we happen to have Red Brick Communications with us last week for some media training, so we sought their advice as well, and also had Hicks Morley review it just to make sure that we ease the thought of some that maybe thought that we might have been infringing on their rights to be able to have their say and speak their piece online. So the tone of the policy has changed a bit to just include a bit more welcoming language. And just we've changed just some slight wording there too, just to make sure it's less of a gray area for whether it's members of council, task force members, committee members, or staff also making comments on their own social media pages. Just to hold that we are all held to a higher standard being representatives of the municipality.
Thank you. With that, would anyone have any questions from council on the amendments? Okay, seeing none. Thanks, Manager Carter.
Thank you.
Okay, sorry, I've just lost my page here. I'll open up my paper. So we have a mover and a seconder. Yes, we have a, sorry, go ahead. I think we have one already. For collectively for anything. Okay, all those in favor. Thank you, that's unanimous. I don't see any staff reports here today. Have any arisen? None, okay. And we do have a motion here, and this is our Deputy Mayor's motion. I'll turn it over to you to read your motion in.
Thank you, Mayor Hamlin. Motion reads, whereas initiatives such as Low Mow May, Leave the Leaves, and Save the Stems are growing in popularity from the UK and to North America, to annually recognize, particularly during the month of May, practices that can be critically important in helping provide bee-friendly landscapes that assist all pollinators. And whereas the town of Collingwood is designated as a bee city by Bee City Canada, encouraging and continuing initiatives towards supporting native pollinators and plant species, and whereas Pollinate Collingwood and staff are supporting the development of a pollinator master plan to be put before council for consideration at a future date, and pending outcomes, amendments will be worked on to the applicable bylaws such as the long grass and weeds bylaw. Now therefore be it resolved that council authorize the temporary amendment of existing policies to support the voluntary public participation in Low May Spring initiatives on private property in May until the pollinator master plan is finalized and being considered for council, by council.
Thank you. Is there a seconder to this motion? Councillor Baines, thank you. Deputy Mayor, would you like to speak first or last?
I'd start, if I
Yes,
could,
go ahead.
please. So it's outlined in CEO Skinner's Q1 report to council in the committee of the whole. It refers to outstanding items of council for possible reconsideration. And item number 11, which has some initial wording around a no mow May resolution, this would obviously be replacing that. If council is in agreement and support the motion as it's being brought forward, it would no longer be required for reconsideration. To start with, I wanted to first note that last meeting we were provided with Pollinate Collingwood's annual update. From further discussions with Pollinate Collingwood and staff, this motion is being brought forward for council's consideration as a temporary but very important part for our efforts to promote voluntary participation in improving the natural environment. While it's expected that a Collingwood pollinator master plan will incorporate measures such as this, it won't be completed until later this year. We hope that this will encourage residents to take a more holistic and long-term approach to supporting bees and other pollinators throughout spring and summer. Not mowing your lawn for a whole month may not be realistic or practical for some. Additionally, allowing your lawn to grow until June without cutting it, your first cut may send your lawn into shock and or dormancy, and especially if we have a heat wave in June, which inadvertently will then have a negative effect on pollinators. As such, we are encouraging residents to allow a greater time between mows. Studies have shown that the less frequent mowing increases both the variety of species and the number and of pollinators in lawns over time. Additionally, longer grass encourages deeper root growth, which helps with stormwater resiliency and the overall health of your lawn. Some best-known long-term practices for encouraging pollinators and bee-friendly landscaping include mow less frequently, allow the grass to grow, and adjust your mower height to the highest setting. Don't mow more than one third of the grass blade at a time in a single mowing. Any further information on this is available on our Pollinate Collingwood website. And so I'll just close with a request for council support of this temporary initiative until the master plan is in.
That's great. Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak to this? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor? And that's unanimous. Thank you. There are no bylaws on our agenda today. We do have the one notice of motion I mentioned earlier. So I'll read this in, and perhaps I'll ask Deputy Mayor if you could just take the gavel for one moment.
I certainly will, and I'll turn to yourself and ask you to read in your motion, please.
Okay, and let me just ask the clerk something. Okay, all right, we're good. I just wanted to see if we needed to waive notice. All right, so the motion is as follows. The council support the participation of Councillor Doherty in the FCM Partnership for Municipal Innovation Women in Local Leadership Delegation traveling to Ghana, Africa this June 2023. Okay, we have a seconder in Councillor Jeffrey. And we can just vote right on this right now. Okay, then.
I'll
Oh, yes, sorry. I
I'll
can
ask,
never get
I'll
used
ask,
to
I'll ask if
okay.
you would like to speak to it, or are you fine with?
I'm
it?
fine.
Yes,
No,
right.
this is a great opportunity for us.
I'll
And
then
that's
open
it.
and ask if anyone else would like to speak, and I believe Councillor Jeffrey would like to say a few words.
Thank you. I just think it's terrific that Councillor Doherty will take on the responsibility of that travel and representing women in local leadership. And I know she'll do a terrific job. So I'm very pleased that she's taken the opportunity.
So I don't believe anyone else is looking, and I'll call the matter to vote then. All those in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you. And I'll turn the chair back to the mayor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I'm going to have to give you the gavel when I turn it over. You can more hit me on the head. Oh, okay, so next is the county report, and I think our Deputy Mayor has something he wants to alert us to. Oh, okay, sorry. I have another note here that there's another notice of motion. So just hold on the county report, and over to you, Councillor Doherty.
Thank you very much, Mayor. So just to provide a notice of motion to council that I will be bringing forth a motion for the town of Collingwood to submit a request to host the 2024 Ontario Small Urban Municipalities Conference in late April, early May of 2024.
Okay, thank you very much. And now Deputy Mayor Fryer.
Thank you. I had a couple items just in regards to county items. Simcoe County is updating its forest master plan. Simcoe County's is the largest municipal forest network in Ontario. From May 18th to the 31st, council members or the public can go on to www.simcoe.ca /10-year update, where an information video can be viewed and there is access to a survey to complete. We're really hoping to get more feedback from the public and to the use of before finalizing the new plan, the updated plan. I also wanted to mention, and a few have already, that we attended last Thursday the biannual Simcoe County Municipalities meeting. And Councillors Jeffrey, Doherty, Potts, Ring, Baines, and Perry, and myself were able to get there. And one of the updates was on the county's efforts on their own affordable housing long-term strategy. So I really wanted to encourage the public to go onto the website location, www.simcoe.ca /housing, as you will find a survey link that we are hoping to get utilized again by many. There's also the mention already about what's going on locally, but I wanted to share with everybody that information about the county work as well, because we all know that with affordable housing, it's all going to take a group effort. So any information or input that the public can provide is something that the county staff is looking forward to on affordable housing and on homelessness. If you go onto the website, you'll find links to them both. And I also wanted to echo, Councillor Jeffrey already mentioned this during community announcements, but at the meeting last week, all the presenters were county staff, except for Clerk Thomas and her staff that reported on the short-term accommodation. And I thank your efforts, and it was one of the heavier attended sessions and went the longest, and it would still be going if we hadn't decided to stop it. So I wanted to say thank you for your efforts, and it was great timing for information. So those are what I had, Mary. Thank you.
Hey, thank you. Councillor Jeffrey.
Thank you, Mayor Hamlin. So the Deputy Mayor reminded me of one thing. A thought had occurred to me during the planning presentation at the county event, and I bounced it off Councillor Doherty, and she agreed, and we sent communication to Director Valentine and copied the appropriate people about the if the province under Bill 23 and Bill 97 were giving municipalities the autonomy of our powers, why could we not use those to contract the county to continue providing sustainability for us as a region through those some of the planning responsibilities? So I'm not sure if there's a procedure I need to bring to the table, but I know that it's been added to Director Valentine's list of things to contribute in the town's contribution to the province. So just wanted to report on that.
Thank you.
And then you jumped too quickly on me on notices of motion. I have two items plus one. I had brought in a notice of motion regarding the Declaration of Human Rights, and it's not a rush, so it can come to the next meeting. That's great. The other two, I would like to talk or have staff support staff considering an amendment to the terms of reference for the SDG Task Force, Sustainable Development Goals Task Force, who have been contributing heavily toward the UN Habitat in small towns and the urban economic forum, and transitioning them to research supportive capacity in terms of linking the SDGs and indicators to our strategic plan. I think we ask an awful lot of our staff, and we have volunteers who would be very keen in doing a bit of research to help with that footwork and linking it with our strategic plan. So I would just like to hear about the benefit of that. That's just a notice. And then the other is I'd like to request a staff report, and I'm not sure the timing of it. I know staff have a lot on the go, but I really think there's a need for us, especially with newer council members, to, at a committee of the whole meeting, to review delegated authority as council has given to staff in all aspects of what we do, with the purpose of educating, reviewing, educating and reviewing for council to reconfirm. Much of that came out, there was much of delegated authority came out of the COVID situation, and we need to be very prepared throughout that when council couldn't meet for our CEO to be able to take on certain roles. But I think it's important for us to go back and review all of those. So.
Okay, we'll look forward to discussing those at our next meeting. Thank you. There's several matters on our consent agenda, so I'll read those in. A general correspondence list can be reviewed on the agenda and meeting portal at Collingwood's website. So the motion is as follows: that council hear and receive the general consent agenda, and further that the information and opinions provided in the general consent agenda items are those of the authors and are not verified or approved as being correct. So there's 5 here. Number 1, support Collingwood Blues, May 15th to 17th, 2023. The clock tower will be illuminated blue and yellow to support the Collingwood Blues in the National Championships in Portage la Prairie, Manitoba. Number 2, World IBD Day. That's with respect to the Crohn's and colitis. This is the clock tower will be illuminated purple on May the 19th. The third one is a proclamation for the Victoria Order of Nurses Week. That runs May 21 to May 27. And there will be a flag raising event on May 23rd at 11 a.m. The fourth item is support National Accessibility Week, May 28th to June the 3rd. We'll also be having a flag raising event on May 29th at 4 p.m. And fifthly, there's a proclamation for National Deafblind Awareness Month, June 2023. And for that, the clock tower will be illuminated blue, June 1 through 8th. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to any of those? Seeing none, could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Deputy Mayor, Councillor Doherty, all those in favor? And that's unanimous. Thank you. Is there any old or deferred business anyone on council would like to bring forward? Seeing none, I have one item under other business, and this is the Collingwood Public Library 2022 Annual Report. And thank you. Is our CEO... Oh, go ahead.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. So as mentioned, I am here today to present the library's 2022 annual report, talk about some of the highlights we had last year. And of course, I'm going to take the opportunity to talk about a few of the projects that we've been working through in 2023 so far. So January 2022 seems so long ago now, because it was, but unfortunately it did begin with a wave of COVID. Do you remember those days? Remember way back then? But despite this early setback, the library had a remarkable year of patrons rediscovering our space, our programs and services as pandemic restrictions lifted. In January, we collaborated with the Collingwood Youth Centre to display the Future Lights art show in our main gallery. Dynamic photographs by local youth were enjoyed by our patrons for the first few months of the year. Through a provincial program, we started loaning Ontario Parks passes. So we do have 3 kits available for loan that provide patrons with a Parks Day Pass, maps of local parks, and a compass. This program continues to be offered, and you can still borrow these kits in 2023. In alignment with our value of diversity and ongoing journey of reconciliation, the library offered an Indigenous beading workshop last June, which was facilitated by Emily Jarrett. We also began decolonizing our collection by editing subject headings to use inclusive Indigenous language, and our staff and board completed the 4 seasons of reconciliation training. Also demonstrating our commitment to diversity and inclusion, we held our first in-person Drag Queen Storytime with over 40 people in attendance. The library is a safer spaces champion, and we know that positive 2S LGBTQ+ representation makes a difference in our community. We are looking forward to offering this program for the third consecutive year, coming up on June 2nd. As you may know, our library is fine-free, allowing equity in accessing our collections. So to maintain our current revenue, we did launch a line of library merchandise just in time for the holidays. CPL branded sweatshirts and toques are available for the public to purchase, and we will be expanding our product line this year with items for the summer season. So get ready because it's coming up. Summer's around the corner. As we know, our community is experiencing some unprecedented times with clear economic and social barriers. This is both an impressive and a bit of a heartbreaking statistic. Our community pantry had a record-breaking year with over 1,900 uses. We ask visitors to simply put a tick on a piece of paper when accessing this service, so we do believe its actual use is well over 2,000. The library itself was bustling with over 66,000 visits to our 66,000 visits to our building, and this includes 1,300 new users, which is pretty fantastic. 5 new staff members joined our team, and our volunteers contributed nearly 700 hours of time to their community. We added 4,500 physical items to our collection last year, including decodable books, which are phonics-based texts that are important for struggling readers and those with dyslexia. Our circulation continues to improve as we move out of the pandemic, and last year over 225,000 physical and e-materials were borrowed. This is up 26% from the previous year. Our library returned to in-person events, including weekly literacy programs, visits to the farmers markets, the revival of art shows and receptions. For the first time in 2 years, we reinstated evening and summer hours of operation. So a pretty fantastic year. Looking into 2023, we had an updated suite of online databases launch earlier this year. So new to our online collection is the virtual tutoring service BrainFuse, transparent languages, which includes Indigenous languages, LinkedIn Learning, National Geographic Kids, and 2 new streaming options, BBC Landmark and Canopy. Our staff are excited to introduce creative technology programs out of our renewed media lab. Kids coding is already underway, and staff are working towards a library podcast, increased 3D printing, and adding more equipment to enhance user engagement. We are in the midst of a website redevelopment. Our current site is nearing 10 years old and has a fairly restrictive template. So our staff are excited to launch a new website later this year that reflects a modern and dynamic approach to online patron service and experience. As we heard earlier today, our friends of the Collingwood Public Library donated the funds to purchase our book bike, which was arriving just as I was coming over for this meeting, so very exciting. And this is going to allow us to expand our reach in the community. This is a new service model for us that we look forward to introducing this summer, so look for us at the Farmers Market. Our first visit is slated for June 17th. In terms of our finances, overall, we came in under budget last year. This was primarily due to some staff shortages and turnover, which makes for about 90% of that variance. I'll finish by saying that, of course, none of the above would be possible without the support of council, our library board, and of course, our staff. Our entire team is dedicated to serving our community, and we know it's their knowledge and expertise that makes our library one of the best. We provide no-cost programming, imperative in the face of a recession. We've seen countless people walk through our doors looking for information or resources, and they leave with community connections and new skills. As a civic anchor, we connect community needs with partners and organizations. We share ideas, knowledge, and services. Known as a trusted organization and a catalyst for change, we are building capacity in our community to create equitable services and safe spaces that make us a leader in equity, inclusion, and accessibility. I hope you agree that better libraries make a better community, make a better world. And I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Awesome. Yes, Councillor Baines.
Thank you, Mayor Hamlin. To you, through you to the CEO, congrats on these numbers, to the board and particularly to the staff for bringing in this with these results. Generally speaking, can you tell me whether your numbers are in comparison to pre-COVID 2019 equal or above the 2019 numbers?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. So the board has been looking at those numbers recently, and some of them are comparable and some of them are not. We'll be honest, I think our programming attendance statistics are still lower, and that's something that our acquisition and programming team is looking at quite carefully to ensure that we are bringing people through the doors for engaging programs. So I think there's some areas in terms of our collections where we're right on par where we were pre-pandemic, and some other areas that we've highlighted as still needing to grow a little bit more.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Jeffrey.
Thank you, Mayor Hamlin. So I love the layout here of your annual report. This is spectacular. And of course, that it represents such outstanding results. I'm just wondering if you could introduce the balance of your board to the public under the guidance of Chair Marion McLeod.
To include that in the
No, just for us to introduce.
Yes.
I don't think we commented on who your board was, did we?
No, we haven't. I know. I'm going to look to Councillor Perry too, so that I don't leave anyone else. So, yes. So our library board is made up of 7 amazing volunteers. So Councillor Perry is our councillor rep. Our chair is Mary McLeod. Vice Chair Donna Mansfield. I should be checking these off as I go. And then our member representatives are Allison Hunswick. Yep. Courtney Squires, Charles Levine, and Margaret Adolph.
Yes. Don't forget Margaret. She'll let us know.
I would never. That's from us.
Can never forget Margaret.
Great. Thank you.
Councillor Potts.
Yes, just a positive comment. Over the winter, obviously, I want to make a big thank you to your staff. They truly are frontline, and there's been time to time where they come across some unfortunate circumstances that we obviously do not want to see in our community, and they are there, and being part of the mobile soup kitchen over the winter and being on site and just seeing what your staff have to do day to day, it's incredible. So I just want to hope that you can pass that along, that we really do appreciate what they do every day.
Thank you. We will
Thanks.
be sure to pass that on.
Councillor Doherty.
Thank you. I just wanted to pass on to you. I recently attended the AMO Homelessness Symposium, and one of the items of discussion was the need for community hubs where the homeless can go for warmth, for support, for food, or what have you. And listening to what goes on in other communities and how other communities are still seeking for those kinds of centers, it made me very proud of our Collingwood Library and what we have done, what initiatives we have taken to truly be a community hub. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much. That means a lot to us.
Well, I'll just say thank you also. What amazing, report. I'm just couldn't be happier with your staff and you and all the volunteers. 66,000 visits. Oh my goodness, that's a few. So thanks. Keep up the good work. Really, so appreciated.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Is there any other business? Yes, go ahead.
And sorry, this just came up during our discussions today. As Councillor Doherty mentioned, June the 9th is the deadline for the delegations request. So I just threw you to the CAO or to both of you. I can't recall from previous term how we go about, because we won't have another meeting until the 5th. I think it is the 4th. So would you converse and kind of decide who you should be asking, and then should we be putting some information in if we thought there was a particular topic? How would you like to see that proceed?
Yeah, go ahead.
Through the chair, the last time that we did this, it was still COVID. And what we did was we had circulated, facilitated by the clerk, a note out to all of council to see if there were delegations that were desired, and had brought that back to the table for confirmation. And then subsequent to the 9th, if we do submit a delegation request, there would be the work, of course, to prepare the material and who would attend the delegations, which would follow that date. So I think Clerk Almus, if the chair agrees that that you could speak, would that approach work this year as well?
Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. I think that approach would work well. It gives us an opportunity. I know we also have it on our department head agenda tomorrow to think about from the staff level. And I'm wondering if it might be, in the past, we did have a council type of motion. So if I solicit or send out an email soliciting items that would be appropriate, we'll put a list together and maybe a council discussion at the next, because I think we do have a day before it's actually required to be submitted.
Yeah, there'd be, I think.
June
3
9th
days.
is the date,
I think
yeah.
3 days, yeah.
There could be quite a list, and
Yeah, and I think we're allowed maybe 2 or 3 at the most. So, okay, well, that's great. Thank you for mentioning that. So if there's no other business, we're on to our confirmatory bylaw. That bylaw number 2023-052, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the special meetings of council held May 4 and 8, and the regular meeting of council held May 15th, 2023, be enacted and passed this 15th day of May, 2023. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Potts and Councillor Houston, any comments? All those in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you. And before we move to adjournment, Clerk Almas, could you just outline when we'll be coming back for the committee of a whole meeting?
certainly, thank you, Your Worship. We will be breaking momentarily for approximately 5 to 10 minutes while we adjust our live stream feed to the Committee of the Whole. We'll reconvene, and then around approximately 4:30 or so, we would adjourn for half an hour and reconvene at 5.
Okay, thank you. Could I have a motion to adjourn? Councillor Potts? Okay, all those in favor? We're adjourned. Thank you.